Today we are going to continue the English tenses, which is lesson number 6, where we talk about the future in English. So this is lesson number 6, expressing the future. And as you notice, we did not say the future tense in English because basically there is no tense in English that is called the future. Rather, there are different ways or different tools to express the future. So we have different ways to express the future in English, that we have will or shall, we have be plus going to, and we can use the simple present tense to talk about the future and the present continuous tense or the present progressive tense. Let's talk about those uses separately. So the use of will and shall to indicate future in English. So will and shall are used to express the future. They express a prediction about the future. They are always followed by the base form of the verb. Let's have the examples. This book will teach you how to cook. We shall know our exam results soon. So as you can see, we have used will or shall to indicate that the action is going to happen in the future. So we predict, so it expresses a prediction about the future. And one basic thing to understand is that after will or shall, the verb is always in the base form. That is verb number 1, or the base form of the verb, the form of the verb without to. So basically the first way, the first tool of indicating the future in English is to use the modal verb will and shall, which are helping verbs that can help me to indicate the future in English. This book will teach you about how to cook. It is a prediction that this book is going to teach you how to cook, and we shall know our exam result soon. Again, so we predict to know our exam result soon. The point that we understand is this is the time scale where we can indicate where the action happened. So anything that is before the present is going to be past, after the present is the future. So both actions, will teach and shall know, both of them will happen in this area, that is the future. It could be any place in the future. So we predict that the action is going to happen in the future. Again, something to know is that we use will for plural pronouns, and we use shall for only I and we. So I and we are used when we have shall, or the other way around, while the rest of the pronouns, with them we use will. So I would expect he, she, it, they, and you. So when the subject is one of those pronouns, use will, while when the subject is I or we use shall. But again, we will notice that this is not always necessary, because we can abbreviate will into just double L after the comma. This will be clear in a second. So different ways to express the future. As we said, the first way is to use will and shall. So he, she, it, they, you, we use the auxiliary will, while in the case of shall we use I and I and we are used in the case of I and we use shall, as we just said, and in the rest of the pronouns we use will. So again, shall is used for I and we, and the rest of the pronouns, with them we use the auxiliary will. And sometimes this is not necessary to understand or to know, because you can just abbreviate will or shall with any pronoun. So if I want to say I shall or I will, instead of saying I shall, I can simply say something like, so basically I have abbreviated shall into double L preceded by comma. So it is not necessary to basically say shall or will depending on the pronoun itself. Rather, you can abbreviate it according to what subject you have. So we use will and shall for instant decisions the speaker did not plan for the action. Now this brings us to the question, can we use will and shall to express any future action or any action that we predict to happen in the future? The answer to this question, no. We use will and shall only when the action indicated is when the speaker wants to indicate an action that happens immediately, when the decision is happening immediately, when there is an instant decision that the speaker, for example, did not take long time thinking of whether to take the action or not. His decision happened immediately or instantly on the spot according to the situation he has in. So the speaker did not really plan, so there is no planning for the action. Immediately the decision has been made. Let's take an example. So let's think of a context where it is raining. I shall take my umbrella. So imagine a situation where the rain starts to fall down. It does not take you time to think of, oh, shall I take my umbrella or I do not take it? No, I shall take my umbrella. So the decision is instant. It happens immediately according to the speaker. So again, if we have a context where we have an accident, people will not sit down and start thinking, will we call the ambulance? No, we will call the ambulance. So the action happens on the spot immediately without the planning. There is no arrangement for people to think, oh, shall we call the ambulance or not? We shall call the ambulance. So decision is taken immediately without any arrangement, without any planning. It happens on the spot. So when we need to express a prediction, when we want to express an action that happens in the future, we use will and shall only if the decision that we make happens immediately, on the spot, instantly, without a planning, without arrangement. So there is no plan, there is no arrangement, it happens instantly. And those are examples when an accident happens, we shall call the ambulance without thinking much of the action. How to form negative sentences and question sentences in the future use of will and shall. Simply speaking, we only add the negation particle not after will or after shall, depending on the subject of the sentence, of course. So the sentence, I shall study English, I shall not study English. You will study English, you will not study English. So basically, to negate a sentence in the future is to add the negation particle after shall or will, depending on the structure of the sentence. Excuse me. How about forming question sentences in the present perfect? As usually, when we form the question sentence in most of the tenses, there is a case of inversion. We invert the subject and the verb. So in a sentence like Sally will study English, to make this sentence into a question, to change this sentence into a question, we reverse the places of the subject and the auxiliary will, the modal will. So Sally will study English is going to become will Sally study English? So we have brought will into the beginning of the sentence followed by the subject. So we have replaced the subject and the verb, or basically we have inverted the order of the sentence. So we have the modal auxiliary will at the beginning of the sentence followed by the subject, and of course we do not forget that this is a question sentence and we add a question mark. So in the case of forming a question sentences, we have to place have and has before the subject, then we add the question mark at the end of the sentence. So we start with have and has, and so basically here we talk about will and shall, will and shall. So we place will or shall before the subject, then we add the question mark at the end of the sentence. Example, Sally will study English, will Sally study English again? So we have sentences where we have to reverse the subject and the modal auxiliary shall and will. Shall I study English? Shall we study English? Will he study English, etc. So it is a matter of reversing the subject with the modal shall and will. Now let's move to the second way of expressing the future in English, which is the use of be going to. So one form of verb to be followed by going to. So be going to is used to indicate a situation which points to the future, and it's also used to express a present intention. A present intention, an intention that has present indication, that happens in the present. Let's check those examples. It is going to rain. So why do I have to choose this form? It is when there is an indication to the future. We can see the clouds, for example, in a context where you are out and you see that the sky has become cloudy, and you can immediately say it is going to rain. So basically there is the verb or the sentence to express will indicate a present intention that the sky is going to rain now, and where you can see the clouds. Similarly, in a sentence like the match is going to end soon, so we can see the time. So if you are watching a match and you know that there is 5 minutes left for the match to end, you can say it is going to end, or the match is going to end. We can see that there is a future indication for the action to happen in the future, and that we can see the time, and according to this there is a present indication that the time is telling me that the match is going to end in the future. They are going to start a new business. How did I know? We can see the arrangement, we can see the preparation. Probably they have built a building, they have brought some furniture, so they are starting to make business, or they are arranging for starting a new business. So basically when we use be going to, there is an indication to the future, and there is a present intention. Sometimes the present simple tense is used to indicate the future. So we can use the simple present tense to indicate the future when we talk about an action as a part of timetable, as a part of agenda, as a part of something we have already planned. So for example, my train leaves at 8 o'clock or at 8:30. So according to this sentence, clearly the tense of the sentence is the simple present, but the reference is to a future action. So if this is the timeline, this is where the present is, and suppose now it is 8 o'clock, and somebody asks me, where will your train leave? I would answer, when does the train leaves? I would say my train leaves at 8:30. It is 8 o'clock now, and I'm referring to an action that will happen in the future. So at 8:30 the action or the train will leave. So I have used a simple present verb form to indicate the future. So this is because I know, according to the schedule in the station, according to the train leaving time, there is a timetable, there is a table telling me the timings of each journey that the train is leaving at 8:30. So I can use the present perfect or the simple present tense to indicate that an action will happen in the future, because it is part of a timetable. The manager meets the staff on Monday at 9 o'clock. So again, we are talking about, let's say, an agenda or a timetable for our manager, or this manager who is going to meet his staff, and this is going to happen on Monday at 9 o'clock. So again, this indicates that we can use the simple present form to express an action that will happen in the future. The third use of, or the third way of expressing the future is to use the present continuous tense. We can use the present continuous tense to indicate the future when the action or when the event referred to is already planned or arranged, of course. So if I, for example, have arranged for the action to happen, I can use the present continuous tense and the reference will be to the future. Let's see the examples. I am meeting Sally at 11:30. I am meeting Sally at 11:30. So I'm not going to decide immediately I am meeting Sally at 11:30. There is something that has happened before this meeting, which is the arrangement for this meeting. I have, for example, informed Sally, okay Sally, I'm going to meet you at 11:30. So there is something already planned. There is something already arranged. The meeting has already been agreed on between me or between the speaker and Sally. Sally is going to the party tonight. Again, when somebody goes to the party, it doesn't mean that he can go, anybody can go. It means that somebody has invited me and I'm going to the party because my going there is arranged by the invitation, by the people who are preparing or arranging for the party. So we use the present continuous tense to indicate the future only when the two parties in the sentence, or the two people or the two persons involved in the sentence, agree on the action to happen. So there is arrangement, there is a planning for the action to happen, and that's why the action is going to be referred to in the future. So again, suppose this point is the present. I am meeting Sally at 11:30. I'm meeting Sally at 11:30. So I can talk about something that will happen in the future by using the present continuous, simply because I have arranged. There is an arrangement, there is a plan, there is an agreement that me and Sally, that Sally agreed that I will meet her at 11:30. Similarly, Sally is going. So we have a form of the present progressive or present continuous tense, and the reference is to the future. It is not referring to an action that's happening right now. It indicates an action that has already been arranged or has already been agreed upon. I am going to the party tonight. So suppose we are in the early morning or in the afternoon, and Sally says I'm going to the party tonight, which means at the end of the day, or that's in the evening, etc. So this happens because the action is already arranged, already planned, and already agreed on. As we said in the case of Sally going to the party, there is an arrangement. Somebody has invited her. She is going to the party at a particular time because some particular person has agreed for her invitation, etc. So there is something planned before the action to happen, and this is one of the main uses of the present continuous tense when the reference is to the future. Let's take some examples to practice. In the case of the verb turn off, the boy will turn the lights off. So somebody is coming, or this boy approaching the switch, and he is not going to think for a long time that he is going to turn the light on or off. So immediately the boy will turn the light off. So basically he is leaving the room or trying to leave the room, so he decided to leave to turn the lights off. And as we said before, the action or the indication when the will or shall is used is when the action happens without planning, without thinking for a long time. Instant decision. The decision does not take long time to be performed, so we have instant decision. The boy is going to turn the light off. Again, this is a present intention, so we could use the sentence in both forms depending on the context in which the example or the action is happening. Sally is coming to the party. Of course, as we said, Sally is coming to the party. We have a form of the present continuous tense, where the action is arranged. So people have invited Sally before and she agreed to come to the party, so we could use the present continuous tense to indicate an action that will happen in the future. So Sally is coming to the party. We have the form, the present continuous form or the present progressive form, to indicate an action that has a future indication. Knock on. So we have this context. Somebody found where her flat is. So you arrived at where the flat is, and you are in front of the door, and you want to see the person or the somebody that you were looking for, and you find the flat. So you are not going to take longer time thinking, shall I knock the door? No, these decisions, if you know the person, if you know the flat, these decisions happens on the spot, happens instantly. They do not really take longer time to decide. So you arrived at somebody's flat, somebody that you know, he will knock on the flat. So we are not going to say he is going to knock on the flat, because this indicates that if you say he is going to knock on the flat, it means that, okay, you have arranged with somebody to knock on the flat, which is quite unusual. But we think of this sentence as that we have an instant decision when arrive at your friend's flat and you are going basically to see them. I'm going to knock on the flat is not really acceptable, but you will knock on the flat or he will knock on the flat, a decision that is made, that you make instantly. So this again brings us to the end of lesson number 6. Basically we will continue talking about the tenses or different type of verb forms in the following sentences. Probably next lecture we are going also to present some conversational models where we use everyday language, different situations and different contexts. This brings us to the end of lecture number 6. Thank you very much.